the opportunity always for us to be part of the growth that transcend the borders of South Africa to the continental level. And I'm humbled to be among my brothers and sisters. I call South Africa my second home. Anybody in my circles in Ghana knows that I call SA my second home. Since 2012, I had a relationship to be there through my father, Michael Lapsley. If I could be given the right, I want to share just something from my end here. So, okay. Recently, I spoke on a platform, an international platform, telling my story, how my mother was very instrumental in becoming what I have come this far to basically be part of the transformation of my continent, Ghana, and everywhere else I find myself. And one area that I spoke at length on was the issue of why women are, after a scientific survey, why women were deducted to be more inclined to transformational leadership, whilst men were inclined to transactional leadership. From all various schools of thought when it comes to leadership, there are all the forms and shapes we know, the style we know. But the one that had received scientific backing, scientific work, compounded by Judy Rosener's work, Avio and Bass, all their works, yet the only leadership that has received scientific work is transformational leadership. And it comes in this 4 I's. And I, as a coach with a background in ontology, which basically means the beingness of everything, mindfulness, the state of mind that coordinates your beingness, and ecology, the relatedness of everything around us. That anchors what transformational leadership has got in common with coaching. And having been certified by ICF, there are 8 core competencies that any coach that gets certified by ICF operates through. You can't go beyond that. It doesn't matter your domain, you still work within that 8. So I fused in the 8. And recently my company and we came up with a group coaching package for the corporate body in Ghana. So there are a few things we teased out. We call it the PASCAD. So I will integrate transformational leadership and PASCAD coaching to bring the bridge for us to know that it is one of the leadership that we can embrace as Africans. As a student of leadership, I have studied over 25 leaders that absolute great researchers and brought on board. And I'm excited to mention that when it comes to servant leadership, our own Madiba was featured. So I have extensively studied Madiba as a leader in that space of knowledge or insight. And when I look at all the leaders from Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, Florence Nightingale, Horatio Nelson, Sanchu, Machiavelli, all those leaders that I have studied as academic pursuit, what stands out is that when people occupy the space of transformation and lead it, a lot of growth and development occurs. One of the cardinal things that transformational leadership stands for, as our sister have actually defined, is that in transformational leadership, there are these 4 I's. And every I has a meaning, which is the inspirational motivation. I want us all to pay attention from even how the words were chosen or the titles are encapsulated. We all know inspiration. We all know motivation. How come that when it comes to transformational leadership, it is fused that you say inspirational motivation? When we come to coaching, we believe that to inspire is heavier and huge than even to motivate. So most often than not, in my pursuit, I say motivation is like energy drink. But inspiration and transformation and all comes from, let's say, nutritional food. So it also means that even though you have nutritional food, sometimes you need you need a motivation for less energy that will boost you at a particular moment, because not every time that you are. And we also say that inspiration is actually being in spirit with who you are. So inspirational motivation is being in spirit with who you are and giving it a boost. That is how I denote inspirational motivation. So as a transformational leader, you are an epitome of someone who is in spirit with himself, because when you connect within yourself, you are able to give clear-cut vision. You stay optimistic into the future, and performance increases, because when the element around you is in spirit, because when you evoke the deeper you, everybody else around you is also triggered to also evoke the deeper them. And when that occurs, you have motivated them towards performance. You have given them a sense of optimism. And because you carve out a clear vision that is not only from the intellect perspective, but comes from the inner person, people are able to rally around it. And someone will call it, like Luther King said, I have a dream. He didn't live to see the said dream, but we all know what that statement alone triggered and where we are now in this world. So inspirational motivation, a leader takes people where they want to go. A great leader takes people where they don't necessarily want to go. So when you invoke who people are from within, when you dig deep and in sync with the spirit from within, when you motivate them, they even forget about the belief system that they have crafted and became a blockade to them. Then we come to the second one, intellectual stimulation. It is one thing to accumulate knowledge, which I know for whatever reason, we are so endowed with knowledge as Africans. Don't say we don't know, we know. But a transformer is the one who will trigger and evoke. That's why the scientific word stimulation is there. More or less like you stir. So a leader, a transformer stirs the ideation capacity of the people, the creativity focus of the people, innovation abilities of the people, so that the intellect does not just become knowledge sitting somewhere, but it evolves from intangible to tangible. And that is one of the greatest challenges Africa is facing. Our intellectual capabilities does not go into physical manifestation, does not go into implementation, that we are stuck only in the skull. So we need transformational leaders who will trigger, who will stimulate, who will kick that out of us, so that we become people of innovation. When we talk of innovation, it has not become a word. We measure it in its action state. Most of us in coaching and when we speak in relationship, we say love is intangible, but it is measured in the tangible. So when I proclaim I love you, it is intangible. The evidence must show in the tangible, which is the activities, the things, and everything I do. So it's the same way with intellectual stimulation. So intellectual growth should commence at birth and cease only at death. But in our case in Africa, we are not dead yet, but we are truncated. Our intellect is truncated, it's stuck in there. Because we don't have the transformers who create the environment and the space for that transformation to occur. We all know the cocoon, the butterfly transformation. This is exactly what it is. So when you stimulate it, we go through the processes, and at the end of the day, we leave the cocoon, which we can use to produce cloth. Then the butterfly evolves and become an agent of beauty. This is what transformational leaders also do. Then you come to idealized consideration. You see, in all the leadership, emergent leadership, in transactional leadership, autocratic leadership, laissez-faire, all the forms of leadership that I have come to realize, it is only transactional leadership that factor the people and put them in the spaces according to their SWOT, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So every transformational leader is able, that is now the DEI has become one of the trendy stuff, because the world have come to realize that it is only through this means that people can become the whole of who they are. So if we live in a country where apartheid has come to do its damage, colonization damage, slave trade damage, inter and intra-tribal wars damage, ethnocentrism damage, when you look at all this, it becomes difficult to magnetize people towards development. That is why the continent is struggling. So it takes a transformational leader to be able to deduce what everybody is capable of doing. So you individualize their capabilities and put them in consideration how they can function. That is why in football or soccer, for instance, there are some coaches, when they say this player is difficult, there are some coaches who are able to turn those players around because they individualize and consider their capabilities, then create a space for them to boom, then something great happens. So a transformational leader has the ability to understand diversity. Created, even though we are different people with all of life, we are also all the same in pursuit of the greater vision we've carved. Then everybody is included in the process. Idealized influence. Idealized influence. When we talk about power, for instance, we have the legitimate power, we have the reference power, we have all forms of power. But when it comes to transformational leadership, that is where reference power comes to play. Because people look at you and from afar, they say, we want to run the race with this person. People look at it from afar, they say, we want to run the race. One of the things that went for Martin Luther King was this, that not that it was his dream they wanted to see, but they looked at what he stands for, the belief he's espousing for himself in the future, and so we want to ride with you, even if we don't get to where you want to get to. We still want to be part of where you are going. That is also where you influence the people by mentorship, providing goals, aiding them to come up with giving ordinary ambitions, life, and shape or spirit. That is what goals, I define goals to be. The G stands for giving, or ordinary ambitions, life, and shape or spirit. You are able to influence, ideally influence people, because you would have given your ambitions, the ordinary ones, giving it life and shape, and people gravitate towards people like that so that they can be influenced to become the best they are. So this is the breakdown of transformational leadership in country because of time. How does this connote to coaching? Now, in our PASCAD, we said that in coaching, one of the requisite and ideal tool that is needed is presence. Because in coaching, you must be in the frame where you cut everything of you and you create a coupling between you and your client, such that judgment, distortion, everything is gone, and there's a seeming flotation where you are able to ask thought-provoking questions that will elicit the things that the other 4 eyes that transformational leadership stipulate. It comes through questioning. What is your goal for the year? What do you want to take a stand for? So it is through that presence. So as a transformational leader, you must be present with your people. Presence. You are not just there adding up to numbers, but you are present. They can feel when you are not around, they can still feel your presence. That is what I'm talking about as presence, not just being there but you are absent-minded. No, when even you are not there, because of who you are, they can still feel your presence. Active listening. If you check, I've qualified a kind of listening, and that's what the A stands for. Active listening. As a transformational leader, you must have a heart to know what the heart listens to. You must have a gut to know what the gut listens to. And you must have that mind so that you are able to listen in all these spheres. That is when active listening has taken place. And that is why in the recent research that has come up recently, one of the institute has said that all top leading leaders in various organizations are demanding to have external coaching. They are requesting to have assignment stimulated from afar, not from within their corporate body again. Because when active listening takes place, a lot unfold, a lot shows forth. And that is how come you can ideally influence somebody when you actively listen as a transformational leader. Safety. In coaching, you must create a safe space for your client to be able to come through with everything they are. And when people are in that vulnerable state, their deeper sense, where I spoke about inspirational motivation, their deeper sense, they're able to dig deep into the spirit. And when they emerge that which is in there, beautiful things occur and they are motivated to run their race. So it is critical for coaching to be infused with transformational leadership. Curiosity and commitment. You can only stimulate the intellectual ability of people around you when you use curiosity and thought-provoking questioning to inquire, to dig deep, to evoke the deeper sense of them within them. So curiosity, commitment, there are more of the C's in there. So when you are curious as a transformation agent, you are able to stimulate the intellectual faculty of your people to become creative, innovative, ideate, and see that which the vision in mind comes to form, comes to substance, come to reality, come to the best that can support the community. Then accountability. The reason why people are ideally influenced is because when they see the leader, the transformational leader, having a life of accountability and responsibility and cutting himself away from the shackles of blame game. Because when you have the spirit of accountability and responsibility, you don't look at the challenge from blame perspective. You look at the opportunities that the challenge is presenting. So when we look at the quagmire and the status quo of Africa, a transformational leader is required to see the opportunities and the possibilities out of not just the challenge becoming a stumbling block. So when you are of accountable self, you are able to transcend. That is sometimes I don't belabor apartheid. I acknowledge the damage of apartheid, colonization, and everything. I acknowledge them as a coach, as a consultant, and as a certified trainer. But I know that in the state of the chaos present an opportunity. So I want to see opportunity in the context of the challenge, not a challenge as a blockade to our possibilities. And this can only be done when accountability and responsibility is allowed to suffice. And that is what an agent of transformation does. The last but not the least, diversity. Individual consideration, as I mentioned. If you understand that the universe in its diversity creates beauty, that is when you are able to grow and ascend beyond unconscious bias, affiliate through tribalism, ethnocentrism, affiliate through all forms of stuff. Because if I have a choice of being a Sutu, and you have a choice of being a Zulu, that is the beauty in our diversity, because we will bring our strength from all this angle and use it towards creating something that benefits our holistic being. So a transformational leader has that insight and depth that the uniqueness we are is not a matter of differences. In fact, it augments. So I keep telling young people, this life is not about, if your life you are living is about competition and competing, I want to be first, I want to be seen, I want to be heard, I want to do. No, you are not living. But if your life is about complementing the strength of others and the weakness of others, you realize that you can build a greater cause and get the result as is desired from both sides of the divide. So it is this two dichotomy that I have bridged, that transformational leadership and coaching has got everything in common. And when you are able to integrate it properly, you are able to produce amazing results. So I will encourage us all on the call, in the area of your business, your marriage, your relationship, your career, your personal development, and everything. Have a coach, because every level you climb up in life, you need a coach who will thought-provokingly get your brain, your heart, your gut, your entire soma body be able to shift, because there is more to us human beings than we think. The power of our subconscious mind that gives us our identity and everything, that power in there, it takes the triggers that will break it forth. And that is what transformational leader is charged to do. I bring my submission to a point. I'm Scofray Nana Yao, your boy. Thank you all for doing that listening. I'm grateful.